Hello everybody, in today's episode I will show you how to replace the shock absorber flanges on a Renault Master from 2010. I already removed the wheel and I will show you step by step what you have to do in order to remove and replace the flanges. First, you will have to disconnect those two bolts from right here. After that, you will have to disconnect the sway bar link. And if you want to have easier access and more room to work with, you can also disconnect the axle. Just make sure you don't pull the axle out from the gearbox, because if you do this, the oil from the gearbox will come out. And in the end, you will have to disconnect this bolt from right here. You have to remove the plastic cover, and after that you will have to use a 21mm socket or key to remove the bolt. And also you will have to use a T14, something like that. This is the sound that any worn flanges make. I'm almost done with removing the shock absorber. Just be careful on what side you install back the washer. This is the size that goes onto the top. I only have to remove this bolt, and after that I will remove the shock absorber. Okay, so with the shock absorber out, all the little pieces from inside the bearing came out because the bearing is destroyed. Just look at this, and from here just follow what I'm doing in order to remove the old bearing, the old piece of metal which is left onto the shock absorber, and after that we will install the new one. Just follow my steps. After that you will need to compress the spring in order to remove the old bearing. And to compress the spring, I'm using this press. It's not a very expensive press. I think I spent on it around 50 bucks. It's a cheap press and is doing the job properly. If you want to change, for example, the springs from time to time, if you're not using it very often, it's a good press. But if you are working with a lot of springs, this is not good because it's not very strong, and in some cases it can even break. After that, just take a T40 and put inside the bolt, and after that you have to remove the nut with a 21mm key. Just unscrew it completely from the shock absorber, and after that the old bearing will come out. Just follow my steps. Just be careful when you're removing the old bearing and installing the new one. You want to make sure that you're installing it into the correct position. As you can see, this is the old bearing. It's just a little piece of the bearing, because the rest of the bearing is broken. And as you all can see, you want to install the new bearing with the little circle, with the circle which is coming out from inside the bearing. And you want to put it like this onto the shock absorber, like so. You want to put it like this. Just mount everything back together. You want to make sure that the spring is sitting properly onto the mounting supports, and after that put the new bearing and install everything as it was before. I always like to put a little grease onto the new bearings. If you don't like it, it's not a problem. You don't have to do this. But in my case, I want to put some more grease onto the bearings, because in some cases it will help them to live longer. This is the side which you have to install it onto the shock absorber with this metal part into the exterior with the numbers. As you can see, there are a lot of numbers and you have to install it like this onto the shock absorber, like so. And after that you have to put the rest of the pieces and tie everything back together. After you're done with installing the screws, you just want to remove the press from the springs, check everything if it's properly seated, and after that you have to install the new flanges onto the bearing. To install the new flanges you just have to push it onto the bearing and it will stay there. Just look how nicely it moves, and now we can mount it back onto the car. Okay everybody, so I installed everything back onto the car. I installed the shock absorber, I installed the bolts, I also installed the sway bar link, and also I installed the screw from the top of the shock absorber. To remove this compartment from the antifreeze, you just want to use a 10mm socket and remove it or install it back. This is all you have to do. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video and found it informative, please leave a like and a comment down below. Just hear if the shock absorber make any sound now.